Alright, let's continue on the Golang HTMX chat app, where I'll try to complete the registration flow so that we can always create a new user whenever we want to. Right, and on top of that, because we want to persist the user login information and basically keep the records of the users altogether, we will need to have the database in place. So before we do the UI of a register page, we want to make sure that we have this SQLite in place, where I'll be using it not from scratch, but I'm going to copy over from the to-do app, right? So we have the what we call this as a chat.db. So this is our database that we will be storing in the local storage, and then definitely we are going to say .in, no? Going to escape the chat.db, so it's not going to be committed into our GitHub repository. Next, let's get started with setting up the dependencies, where we need the SQLite tree, and probably this is all. And the database SQL, I think, is the one that's already built in our Go language. So let's have this go get here. Alright, now we have the SQLite tree driver installed. We're going to initialize the database in our main function, and here is the create table statement, where definitely we can use as well, so that we can create the user table all at once. But just to remind you that this one can also be potentially using a migration script. So this one we can probably explore further in the future, but here we're going to use the easiest way, that whenever I start the server, I want to create the table if the table does not exist yet. So first of all, it's going to open up the or connect to our chat.db database, and secondly, it's going to create a table called user with an ID of a primary key with let's see what we got in the user table. We have username and also password. So username is going to be a text, and also the password is going to be a text as well. Right, so password here is going to be storing a hash. So for my current structure, I'm just going to keep it as a text format, since even if the user or anyone gets the hash, it doesn't mean that they can access to the user. Right, so we have the ID, username, and also password as intended. And then after I create the new database, the next thing is I'm going to create a new services. Right, services level is the level that we will keep the custom logic, where it's more of like it can also be the integration point between our backend and also the database. So we can have a user.go, or I don't know, like we already have user.go though, where we can get a list of users. So this is to get the mock users. Let's say if we want to replace the entire logic with our user service. So user service tags in the SQL database, so that it can do the operations by using this driver that we pass in from our main.go. And here we are going to implement all the CRUD features, get users with, say for example, dto.user.dto, and here is going to return the user DTO from user order by say username. Can be anything, because we are not sure the use case yet. If you would like to know the implementation details, I suggest you to look at to have a watch at my another video on the to-do app. It contains the thinking process on how to implement the CRUD interface. Right. So when we get the users, potentially we do not want to say, for example, ID and also username. We do not want to return the password. So here going to be users and select. It's going to select the ID and username. Right. So we don't need a check variable. Here is how we can do the get all operation, where we have the user service get user with the ID. So it's a user DTO again. Select with the ID and username. And from user, where ID equal to question mark. Well, actually I don't need to select the ID. I select the username will do. So we have the username string, and this username can be inside the scan and user DTO, where we have the username equal to username. Well, that's all for the get user. How about create user? Right. So create user is going to create a new user with the username and also password. So it returns the user object in return. And here is going to spawn a new user, where depending on our use case, when we are creating a new user, we are going to hash the password first. So hash password for our security reason, where we can refer to how the hashing is going to be done. Oh, initially it was here. So let's see. We get the file history and see the previous one. How is it implemented? So we're going to hash this password. Shit. Okay. Copy over and put it right here. And here the name is going to be hash password. It's going to be bcrypt.generate from the password with the password passed by the user with a sort of this is the, I call this as a cost of it. Let's put it as a parameter, and then we get a hash password now. We can spawn the user with a username, random UUID, plus a password of hash password dot to string. Going to put this into, let me check back a bit on how is it. Okay, it's going to wrap with a string per function. Okay, just like this, wrap with a string and paste it. Right. Next, let's go into insertion mechanism, where we insert the user ID, username, and also the password with all these three values. So it's going to be user.id, user.username, and user.password. Right. So at the end, you return the user object. So that's how the insertion can be done. And next will be update and also delete. So update operation is going to allow user to update the username only. So here is the user DTO, where we can then say that it's like this: user update user set username equals to question mark, where ID equals to question mark, and then this is going to be a username dot user dot username, and then user dot ID. And finally, return the user. Well, the user does not contain password, which is intended. And here, it's not intended because Okay, so here potentially I do not want to return the password to the user. So when I create a new user, the hash password will be passed as a parameter to the DB driver, where the return statement will not include the password for security reason. Well, now we can see the final one, which is delete user with the ID. Delete from user, where the ID is equal to this thing, and finally return new. Alright, so that's all for the user service. We have finished initializing it. The next thing is we're going to also start the to-do service in our main.go so that we can use it between the controller. Well, we can initialize it before we start anything, like the echo. And this is the user service. It's going to be a user service that we created just now. And any operations we can use user service.something to do. Alright, so to log in the user, it needs to do the compare hash password thingy, where I think we can also put this in this entire thingy into our user service, where we can define it right here. So we have the function of user service, where we can log in a user with a username string and also the password string, and at the end it's going to return an error. So the controller level is going to know that whenever there's an error, throw the error message instead. Alright, so we have the wall of login users, and then it can also return a user object if that's needed. Let's see if this is applicable in our login thingy. Well, honestly, we do not need. Right, we can generate tokens and set cookies in the service level, or in the control level also is possible. Then we need to return the login user. Well, let's assume that we need to return the login user, so it's going to also have this dto.user dto, and second parameter is only going to be the error, like this. Okay, so first thing is we're going to add in the get user. So target user is equal to, right, so when we get a user, if it is nothing, then it will return new. Right, so we can say like this lah, target user equal to ts.getUser with a, so get user is going to be by ID, but let's, instead of by ID, we can do it by username lah. Select say ID where username, right, and we have the ID, query row by the username, scan its ID, and finally going to return the ID and also the username. Right, so get user is by username. Right, then we can say that, oh, I get a user. If target user is null, if it's nothing, then I will going to be throwing a new error. So how can I throw a rare error? So error is going to be I don't know if I can do like this. No. Okay. Probably the get user, aside from the user DTO, we can also return an error statement where I can then do like this. This is going to be new. Okay, so when I get a error message, if error not equal to new, return new and error. Right, so with the target user, we can then do the checking. if error equals to this thing, where I compare the password with target user dot password, error not equal to new, then I will say that I will return new and error. So this is for password comparison. Whenever the username is not found, then I'll return an error. Or the password hashing comparison is the hash password comparison is failing, then we'll also return an error. After I got an error, I can then I don't need to generate token and set cookies. This one will be handled by the controller level to call the other services. Okay, then I will return say target user and new. So this is how the login user can be done. After I get the login users, I will do like this: login user equal to say user service dot login user with a username and also password. Okay, so it also will return an error, right? So I can say that if error not equal to new, then I will throw an error. Okay, say this say internal, I just put an error into internal server error with error as my error message. Okay, then afterwards would be, after using the login users, I'm going to, how about this, invalid login, but here I will then log the print line error. Okay, so login users, we can then say that if it is a valid one, then we will do the services.generate token and set cookie with login user and also a C. What is C? C is the echo. So I will generate token for the login users with the cookie. Let's refer back to the what is used. Right, so I'm using a generate access token for the user, where the user is going to be passed into the generate token and the username is going to be in the clam. Well, do I want the clam to also contain the user ID? Possible, right? We can have the ID right here, and here is going to be ID. Okay, so we have ID and also username now. The clams, well, generate token, generate token, pass in the user, and then generate reference token, also pass the user with a generate token here. So here is the ID, where the ID will come into play. We are always not sure where will we use the JWT token clams for any sort of operations. So I'm just going to pass in the ID as our unique identifier for individual users. And let's see. Alright, again, if you have issues following me through, you can always refer back to the GitHub repository that I've shared in the description, so that you can keep to focusing on the thinking process rather than the implementation side, right? Okay, so generate a thing. Okay, here when we generate a cookie, we will return an error as well if the failed to be generated. So it will also return error if the token doesn't attach to the cookie, and if it works, then it will go to the /chart again. So this is how the login can be done. We also need to implement this register as well. If not, then there will be no way for us to do the testing, right? So confirm password. Alright, so after the confirm password, let's do the password checking first. If password not equal to the confirm password, then return echo.new http error dot bad request. Password is not the same as confirm password. No, just saying, right? So after that, we are going to create a new user. This password validation. So create a new user where we can then use the create user operation, where we create the when we are doing the create user, same thing. We also would like to return the error for controller to sort of like know what is really happening, right? So if error not equal to new, return new error. Here is going to also return new error. Okay, so create user with a username and also password. Then new user. If error is nothing, then we will say that it is internet server error, right? Then we also, for the registration, right, we are also going to do the same as login, where we will straight away after creating a new user, we generate a token and set cookie for that user as well. So it's you don't need to log in again after you do a registration. Well, that's the idea. Then if error nothing, then boom. Okay, status move permanently with /char. Alright, here actually we need to also do a sort of like a checking where we don't want the users to be repeated like by the username. So I can do like username, and here potentially we are going to return error as well lah, whichever thing. Here error, and we're going to also return error right here. Okay, come back to the things that I mentioned just now. When we get the users by username, I'm going to, instead of where username equal to question mark. So this is a statement dot prepare. So potentially, because I need to fit in the data, I probably need to let me just try if I can do like this db.query Golang SQLite. Like this db.query. Well, here is a query row. But let's see if this query row is the one that we want to use. Like this. At most, return at most one row. So I do not want this. I want the query instead, because it needs to have more than one result. Right, so we have the rows.scan db.query. Okay, I can put in the question mark, like the query here, dot query, and then I put in the parameter. Right, so for example, I can say that it is where username equals to question mark. I can do like this, right? Then I scan the ID and username, and then return the list of users. So let's come back to the password validation, then the user validation again. Users error equal to echo dot user service dot get users, and we put in the username that we have added in. If error not equal to nil, or users length users more than 0, then we will return, like we will print the error first, and then return the internet server error or like bad request. I don't know, like the error handling is going to be flexible. We can the best way is I think is making sure that every single error message, it does match the actual error that's returned by the backend or the database, right? So user validation is done. Create a user if the user does not exist yet. Assign a JWT auth token, and redirect the user to the /chart page. So /register have also done. We just make sure that things are still working. Right, we have code a lot. Here, okay, you can see that there is a there's this connection refuse thingy where we'll see. Right, no rows in the result set. When we do the login, and then we get an error just now. So after getting the users, getting the error, I suppose we should see the error message one, right? It seems like it's panic. Yes, panic after getting an error. Yeah. So I cannot pick anything panic when I so it's probably in a user service of a login user, where when I get user, then it returns an error. So because .fatal is going to straight away kill the entire application, so we should not do the fatal whenever we don't want the user, we don't want the application to close. Maybe we just use a .print line instead. Right, so let's continue again. When I get an error, yeah, so we got a 401 from the login because of the error returned by the database driver. Alright, so next we're going to continue with a register page, where we will clone the one from our, let me just put it left side, and our here at the right hand side. Okay, so we're going to create another page called /register, and it has a similar layout to our login page, but it's called register. So this is register.temper. It's going to return the exact same one, except with some sort of differences. Like for example, we have the confirm password. Right, type is equal to password and all this, and then here is going to be a register now. Okay, so and it's going to post to a /register. Okay, so this is our register page, but to tell the user exactly that here we are going to, this is a register, so we're going to add in the #1 of register like this. Whereas in the login, it's going to be also have this indicator on, this is a login page. like this. Okay, so we have the login. Just right below the image, the logo image. But to make this a bit better, probably I'm going to add in the text white bold, and that is all. Right, so text white, and then we have the text or the font bold, and text is going to be tailwind css.com. Going to add in the font size with XL. Right, let's try again, see. Okay, so apparently XL, is it already XL? 16, it doesn't seem like an XL to me. So let's continue by checking again if we miss out any style. Right, so when we kill the cache, then we can see the update now. So this is a login, and below the login button, probably we have another button called new user, register now. And here, okay, we are not going to have a padding. We are not going to make it a font semi-bold. We make it a text base. We make it a text XS or SM, and not going to have a rounded, not going to have a background. We just going to have this thing called text align center. Right, let's see. So text center. Okay, let's see if that works. Right, so we have the good little text button, where when we click in, it should go to the slash. Instead of slash chart, it's going to the slash. What we call it? Register. Okay, sorry about that. I'm a bit hard for me to speak while thinking. So, okay, coming back to here. Get. When the button is triggered, I'm going to replace the URL by use a get request of slash register. Right. So get request of slash register is going to replace the entire URL with the register URL, where it's going to also let's see, the backend side can then now handle this get request and do a rendering. Well, it's sort of similar to my get route, but it's a slash register, and then from here I can then say that it's going to return the register page. So let's see if this works well. Right, so when we press the register now, when we press the register text, it's going to spawn another form like this, which is really not intended. I want it to replace my outer HTML instead. So that is the issue with my HTMX, where it does not swap the entire page out. So to do the entire swapping, probably I want to, or maybe I can actually say that it's a href, isn't it? Like, instead of using this I can say it's a href equal to slash register, since it's a new page after all, isn't it? This way. Reload. Just now when we click on it, go to the slash register. Exactly what I want. Right, so you don't need HTMX at all. Right, you can straight away click that and then go to the register page. Right, when we arrive at the register page, we also want a link to navigate back the user if they want to, back to the /login page. Already registered, log in here. So here is a new user, register now. Here is the already registered, log in here. Well, and the page is going to go back to the root page, where I also have the register text that is the same as the login text. Just copy the entire style that is provided just now to the login header, and let's reload it and see. Alright, this is our register page. Already registered, log in here. Click that. Okay, we are going to go back to the login page. Click here, going to the register page again. We have the username, password, and confirm password. So now we are going to explore if I can successfully render the password. Maybe I just say J-Xiong and J-Xiong. Right, if I put in the wrong password, like 123 here, then press the register now, I'm going to get a error code 400. Well, the error message is not informative. Probably we can improve that in the future, but for now I'm just going to ignore it and do a proper registration. So I have got a user called J-Xiong. Right, after I successfully registered, I can then be navigated straight to the chart page. But when I go into the login page, despite I have already been logged in, like you can see when I go to /chart, I can get the message successfully because I've already been logged in as J-Xiong. The issue with this is I didn't do any sort of guarding on the default route if the user is logged in. So we're going to add in the guard as well. If user is logged in, they're not supposed to go into this routes. So token refresher, and then we have the login. Alright, so here I guess we also have another group probably that's called unguarded routes. It's going to be a group of say /. So unguarded routes dot get and get registered. So these are the two unguarded routes where I can add in the middleware. So we have the token refresher, other middleware that potentially I can get the cookie from here. Let's see. So guarded routes, I'm thinking about what should I check against. Probably it's going to be the same like here. I'm going to copy the entire thingy just to make sure that I don't miss out things. And then from here, this is a guest middleware. Which blocks user from accessing guest route. Well, if the user is not authenticated, no user data in the context, don't do anything. And then if where did I inject the user user context though? Is it the middleware? No, token refresher middleware, and then we have the echo JWT. Probably is here that injects the user. Well, let's find out. Okay, force user log in user to the /chart page. So when a user they get into the chart the guest page, they're supposed to go back to the chart page instead. So I'm just going to redirect the user permanently. Let's see if I can get like this. Move permanently to the chart page. So we have the shit. Do I do it incorrectly? Wait a minute. Okay. Apparently I copied into the wrong place. So this is supposed to be the thing here. Shit, man. Okay, just chop it, and then we copy the 2 lines above here, paste it, and cut the 2 lines above to below. Okay, so we have the guest middleware, and we have the token refresher middleware. So guest middleware is going to override this unguarded route. Is a middleware, so we can put in the unguarded route. Dot use with the services dot guest middleware. So let's verify if this is working. Honestly, I'm not very sure about this. Yeah, so we can say log in first. Log in. Okay. Why do I receive an error? Hash secret too short to be a bcrypt. The password. Well, this is unexpected. Oh, this is new. So my user context is new when I first enter the middleware, which makes sense. But I want to also assign the cookie. So probably it's going to be the cookie. Print fmt dot print line c dot cookie and find the access token name. And I'm going to find the refresh token name as well. Okay, let's have a look at the log. Right, so we have the access token and refresh tokens. If the c dot cookie if c dot cookie is not equal to null, and I'm going to return cookie access token error c dot cookie. It's going to return the cookie and error. If error not equal to nil, then return next C. If the access token is found, if access token not equal to new, then I will return you out. I'm going to here. Okay, do some logging and remove the other stuff. Alright, so this is how I assume that it should look like. Right, when we go to the home page and we are logged in, then we'll go to /chart page, which is intended. But we'll need a way to log out the users. Well, there's a lot of operations in the user side. Probably I'm just going to remove the, can I remove the cookie manually? Let's see. Well, we have this cookie and just clear the cookie and go here. Okay, we can now log in. Okay, so we have the guest middleware set up already, so that login users will not go to a login page. And we want to also see the login. Just now I see a message mentioning that the secret issue with a secret, right? So here hash secret is too short to be a decrypted password. So this is probably the issue with the mechanism that we are using to hash, to compare the hash password. Okay, right. Need to ensure the size is sufficient. So wordcard 50 is not enough. When we create a password, it's going to be what we call it 50, 60 byte. So it's the text seems like the text type is not sufficient, right? So when we are creating the database, it's also important to make sure that it can put in the text that we are using. Assume that like this okay. Hopefully like this is okay. We just remove the todo.db, remove the chart.db. Okay, and then connect it. Right, let's try to create a new user. Okay, we got the 400 again with new. Why? Okay, well, let's see. No rows in the result set. So login is fails. But the issue with this is so it triggers my guest middleware actually whenever I log in. So it goes to this page. I feel like the authentication flow is not very accurate right now, but I just want to make sure that the login can be done successfully lah. Alright, so we got the hash secret too short to be a decrypted password. So let's see how we can do this. Okay, I think I know why. Alright, text type, it should be fine one, but the issue with that is when I do the login, I use a get login user, which is a get user type, and remember that I escaped the password already, so it should it should have the password one. Okay, password string here is going to have the password. Right, so when I get user, I should have a password because that's needed for me to do the checking. Right, let's see again. Login. Okay, 401 again. SQL expected one argument got 2. Oh, I need to scan the password. Hey, here. Right, let's try again. There's a lot of silly mistakes I've done here today, but anyway, solvable. Okay, alright, login successfully. I got a new jail. I got hit by the when I log in successfully, right, it doesn't bring me straight away to this chat page, but yeah, so it just keep inside the same page. So what I need to fix is probably related to the guest middleware that I've put in just now. Whenever I suddenly have the um got logged in, then I cannot go into like directly go to the chat page. But if I reload it, I should see I'm actually logged into the service already. Well, I'll make this because the video is getting very long. So I'm just going to put a stop right here and solve this redirect issue in the next video once I found out the reason. And then we can start implementing our front-end UI on the chat room. Well, see you again. See ya.